back onto this bike very shortly and hopefully get it started this weekend. But this has been bugging the crap out of me. 3 months ago, I gave somebody a bunch of clocks to restore and got them back last weekend. None of them have been restored. When I asked what the problem was, they said the guy that they use to restore these type of clocks hates working on them. Well, apparently there's not that many people that like to work on these particular clocks. And the reason is that taking them apart takes ages and they're easy to break and damage. Well, okay, do it yourself. That's what the whole ethos of this program is. Here's a Speedo that's already been damaged and somebody's already had it apart. And I thought, having watched a few videos, I'm now an expert in how to do this. So I'll show you everything I've learned. This is literally the first time I've ever done this. And this may not go the way I want it to, but hey, it's having a go, isn't it? So this is the clock I actually want to work on. This is the clock from Ron Burgundy, the first bike. So if I take an old-fashioned drill and drive it in the anti-clockwise direction, that's the direction that the Speedo is going to respond to it. Now, here's the issue. If I go above 60 k's an hour, that needle won't return back to zero. Okay, so over the years, the lubrication inside here just dries out. And you've got to get in there to re-lubricate it. It's as simple as that. So I don't know what all the fuss is about. But anyway, I'm all about learning new skills. It's always good fun. Now, before I try to learn on this one and balls it up, I'm going to use this one. Okay, so normally, I think what you're supposed to do is remove the little rotary knob that resets your trip meter. Yeah, that's all working, all good on this one. But if I go to pull it, it's not going to pull off. Now, before I go jamming too many things down the center here, which I expect there's going to be a screw inside here. Right, before I go and jam things in and stuff it up, I want to experiment on one. So, this one's already got the winder broken off.
Right.
I didn't do that. That's how this arrived to me secondhand. I've had this little flat blade in there. I just thought it's 50-50 and it's either going to be a flat or a Phillips. All right, and I've had it in there, winding it around. Feels like I'm loosening something. There's not enough of that stalk for me to pull on to get in and out. So I'm moving on to the next stage. Next stage is get a 102mm hose clip, or one that's going to be, say, 95 to 110, that you can slip over easily. Tighten it up in a way that you've got a lip protruding up above this surface area. All right, and the reason for that is all you're going to do is take your screwdriver, put it in at like 45 degrees. So you're just using this corner here, and you're going to just tweak up and just begin to lift up the edge all the way around. Once you've got it, you made a full circle, which takes about a minute. You then go around and using the hose clamp, bear in mind this would normally be tight. I've just finished doing all this. Hopefully I've demonstrated it as best I could earlier. And you get hold of that slightly raised lip and squeeze it against the hose clamp. Just work your way around. Takes about another minute. So what you got to do is squeeze against the Jubilee clip. Okay, having done that, you can then separate this like that. Undo these two Phillips. Your drive's going to come in here. As it turns, it's going to cause this bit to spin. Yeah, okay. As that spins, it's going to cause that to move. All right. So this isn't physically connected to that, it's a magnetic field. So as soon as this starts spinning, that's enough force just to cause this to rotate. And the faster you spin that, the more it's going to move there. Okay, well, what's governing all of this so it's not going crazy and reading the wrong speed is, can you see a little tiny wound spring here?
Yeah, I can see it.
Right, so there's a round spring in there. All right, well that's your resistance. That's what causes this to flick back. So if I go that way, I'm just working against that spring. Now in this case, this one is rotating back perfectly fine. Right? If it wasn't, which remember the first one isn't, you can see there's a chrome piece just at the tip of that screwdriver.
Yeah, briefly, yeah.
All right, that brass peg goes into a silver barrel. It's in there that you need to get the lubrication. A couple of places to get some grease on this worm shaft here, which turns against that, which in turn turns against this, which causes the actual odometer to move. So remember the black plunger that was broken already? And I was wondering if there was a screw that goes over here or goes through here. There isn't. It's just a ribbed piece of steel.
Right.
And whether it's heated at the factory as it's a piece of plastic and then slid on and it just sort of shrinks to fit, I don't know. Or if maybe somebody's had it apart in the past and super glued it, don't know. But what was left of there was not coming off. I ended up having to sort of break it into little pieces. We may be able to shop around and find some of these style things and fit them, so no big drama with that. Okay, in the meantime, our odometer is now currently reading about, what, 500 Ks? Why are you laughing?
I'm not. Well, yeah.
Okay, so what I've figured out is this seems to work the best, this little flat-bladed screwdriver. And you come in, see I've got an 8 there, an 8 there, an 8 there, and an 8 there. That represents 0, 0, 0, 0. That 5 is because I've got a 3 here. So I want to rotate this barrel until I've got an 8 there.
Okay.
All right, I'll do that in a second. I'll show you exactly how I was doing it. The other thing I noticed was when I first started doing this, I ended up with a digit kind of like half in and half out. It would have been really obvious that somebody's been fiddling with this.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to teach people how to clock their Speedos, by the way. At the end of the day, this is just how does the mechanism work and how is it done.
Yeah.
Right, so the one with the 3 on it is the one I want to adjust.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come in between this disc and the one with the 3. I'm going to go right in between them.
Yeah.
And you've got this little metal plate. It's almost like a very fine washer.
See if I can see. Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. Now, as I come in there, I don't know if you can just make out a piece of white plastic.
Oh, yeah, I can see.
All right, good. Okay, so there's a little cog in there.
Yeah.
So all I'm doing is I'm gently, there you go, I'm just levering against it.
Yeah.
Just tweaking it, just so I can move it. Remember, I want to get to an 8.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so now I've got all 8s lined up.
Here you have.
Okay, except for this one. Okay, so you've got the drive constant back here. That turns this shaft. This shaft then turns this shaft. And then this worm gear here is engaged with that.
Right.
So I'm not going to be able to move this unless I can move that.
Right. So we're going to leave that one then.
We are going to leave that one. I'm just, hold on. See, all zeros. Another task is removing these, remove the needle, and then you can undo these 2 screws and take this plate off, all that sort of gubbins. You can separate this drum out from the frame. In order to do that, you're going to have to prise this little tiny piece of metal over to one side and also on there, and the same on this side. Okay, it's a bit of a press fit in there. Okay, so we've had some WD-40 behind the glass, obviously. I've had WD-40 down this side of the needle, around the back side of the needle, and then I've wiped the dial using household furniture polish, just some, what's this, Mr. Sheen, that sort of stuff, very delicately, and then inside and outside of the glass. And as you can see now, notice at the bottom, the trip meter's moving, yeah? So with an electric drill, you can do 120 k's an hour. But with a battery powered drill, you can only do 60 k's an hour.
Right.
Oh, sorry. So the next piece is, now that I've put this glass cover back on, obviously I've inserted the 2 screws. Now I've put this glass cover back on, I've got to crimp all of this back round nice and tight.
Right, okay.
I haven't figured that out. I'm going to do that just yet, but
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just started by folding the edge over using this big Allen key. And then after I'd gone around the full circle, then I pressed it down a bit further, a bit further. And then for the third go round, then I started tapping it down with the hammer to make it flat. Well, I had nothing to lose with this particular clock because it was already damaged. However, now it's a fully functioning clock, and the only thing I need to do is buy another rotating little knob here so I can do the trip meter and fit this little dust boot over it. So I'll go shopping around for one of those. In the meantime, I'll probably fit this to the to bike number 1, so I've got a working Speedo.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I did try this little trick. I've seen on some of the videos people doing this. So you put a load of tape around the side of the pliers that are going to go onto the bezel, and then you can just sort of crimp it flat. But honestly, that didn't seem to work particularly well. And I will say straight away, now I've put it all back together, there's a couple of dints in this, but they were there before. What I'm saying to myself is I could have done a better job. I could have taken that off and maybe try to bring them out a little bit, give this a coat of paint, give the body a coat of paint, all that sort of good stuff. But I just wanted to take it apart and see how it works.
Yeah.
So that's good. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, so it's all back together again. I'll cut in a couple of pictures. The only thing wrong with this at the minute is the stalk that's missing off the side. So I found 2 in the States somewhere that were for an XJ, I think 650, which look identical. They were expensive though. The pair of them were $248. I have just ordered those trays. Well, my rational thought process is,
Go on then.
well, it normally costs me about $500 to get a clock repaired.
Wait, does it?
Yeah, but I'm doing it myself. So I've got $248 buys me 2, so it's $125 a clock. So I'm doing all right. But I also found, and I'll clip in another picture, 5 for about $125. Now these are not exactly the right one, but I figure that with a little bit of super glue, stick it in the side, it'll look all right. But I use those as a last resort.
And Adam's 3D printing.
That's the number 2. So when the ones that arrive for the XJ, he can scan them and then copy them, 3D print them. And then I've got as many forever as I need. Yeah? Happy with that?
Yeah. I probably sound quite muffled.
You do sound muffled. She's diseased up at the minute. Fully, was it influenza or something you say you got?
Influenza A.
Yeah. Which is a few steps down from man flu, but it's still bad.
That can put you in hospital.
Man flu can, yeah. Okay.